Hey all, how you doing today? Today we're going to talk about writing in math. It's a topic that comes up quite often. Many schools that I go to, many principals and coaches that I talk to talk about, hey, we want to work more on writing in math, and what are ways we can do that? We want our students to be able to do better writing in math, whether it's for a test or whether it's just for expressing their thinking, some of those pieces there too. So I want to talk about some ways we can do that, some ways we can think about that. And I also want to challenge you to rethink, what do you mean when you say writing in math? And what are some of the challenges that may come up with the students saying, why are some of the students having a hard time with writing in math? So specifically, what I want to think about is thinking about maybe renaming writing in math to helping students to express their thinking in math. And thinking about it that way, I don't just want students to learn how to write in math. I want them to learn how to express their thoughts. And by doing that, we need to help them understand what are they thinking? What are some of the words that express what they're thinking? It's likely not that they have challenges with writing. It's likely that they have challenges kind of expressing the way that their mind's working. When a teacher asks, "Hey, how did you do that?" "I just did it in my head. It just popped in there." That may actually be the case, or maybe the student actually doesn't have the words to express what they did in their mind. So I'm going to give a few different tips today that might kind of help us think about what are ways we can help students to express their thinking. So how can we prepare them to express their thinking just like we do in a normal writing class or an ELA class? Is let's do some pre-writing strategies and then let's write that out. We can use those same strategies in mathematics. So some of the things that I like to kind of look at and process and recommend is one of those things is just looking at vocabulary. Do the students have the vocabulary they need to use to express their thinking? Now, in order for them to learn the vocabulary, it's going to be helpful for teachers to ask them to use that vocabulary in class during conversations, during discussions and such too. And an active vocabulary word wall right to the right or left of a teacher can be a really good place to do that. And having students saying, "Hey, can you restate what you just said using vocabulary from the wall?" Who in this classroom can restate what Jimmy just said using a vocabulary term we've been talking about this lesson? And again, just having students use that active vocabulary and having more students use the active vocabulary, not just write down definitions, but actually use the vocabulary, is going to prepare them to have more skills for that writing when we do ask them to write and express their thoughts. A secondary thing we can use, again, we use this in writing and ELA classes all the time, are sentence stems and saying, okay, to prepare us to write an answer to this, we're going to use this sentence stem or this sentence starter. And you can choose whatever works best for you, but the strategy I used was, or to start this problem I first, or whatever that is, thinking about a sentence frame or sentence stem that can help a student begin to use that. So I'm coupling sentence stems and sentence frames in with the vocabulary, and all of a sudden, much of the heavy lifting of what am I going to say is already put into the student's hands, and they can then craft it the way they want. So along with that, some things we can do in terms of before I have a student write out an explanation or write out their thinking, it can be extremely helpful to have the students do a low stakes, quick turn and talk to your partner about how are you going to answer this problem. Turn and talk to your problem about what do you notice is the same about these two strategies. Turn and talk to your partner about what was an area that you got challenged with, a stuck point. Turn and talk to your partner about that. As you're turning and talking to your partner, use the sentence stem, use the vocabulary. They can have a chance to kind of think about, process their ideas. They get some feedback to kind of find out, did that idea make sense? They might even be able to hear what their partner said to kind of build upon their feedback. Give them not a ton of time, maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes to turn and talk, really no more than that's necessary. And then say, okay, now you can begin to write out your thoughts, some of those pieces too. And in addition to that, some of those other ideas we can do, kind of on top of vocabulary, is helping students to give names to models and names to strategies that other students have used in the class. Names to models and strategies like bar models or graphs or pictographs, or giving those names and maybe putting them on an anchor chart or maybe putting them on the vocabulary list, giving names to those strategies so students can then pull them back. And then when students say, "Hey, I just did it in my head," say, "Okay, I can accept that." Have a few students share out and say, "Now going back to the student that said they did it in their head, can you tell me now, what do you think, what do you think you did in your head? What does that most relate to according to the three strategies we just showed?" And very often that student will be like, "Oh my gosh, what I just did that. I did counting on. That's how my mind worked." And now what we just did is we gave that student words to think about the way their mind worked. It wasn't just magic happening inside their heads. So as we're thinking about writing in math, really what we're thinking about is helping students to express their thinking in math so that they can then possibly write down an answer, write down their thinking, express what they're doing. It can't just be, okay, I'm going to give students more time to write. I'm going to give more opportunities to write. that can be a little bit helpful, but beyond just the more time and the more opportunities, we need to set them up for success to show them what it is we expect that they can write and give them the tools so that they have the vocabulary, the terms, all the different sentence frames and starters they can use to write and express their thoughts. So if you're thinking about writing in math, try some of those things out. If you have other ideas, please add that to the comments. Please share that. I always like to learn from others. That's always the goal that we have in all of this, so we can collaborate and learn together. All right, Al. Have a great day.